I never imagined I'd be writing something like this. It's not the kind of story you tell at dinner parties or casually share with friends. Yet here I am trying to piece together the night that completely blurred the lines of trust, love, and reality. It started innocently enough, or at least I thought it did. My wife, Amanda, had always had a playful side, the kind of personality that would occasionally pull harmless pranks. But over time, those small pranks became bigger, more intense, and sometimes, frankly, unsettling. That particular evening, we had spent the day at home, lounging, doing chores, and watching a few shows. It was one of those lazy Sundays where the hours stretch and the world outside feels distant. Amanda had been acting oddly cheerful, more flirty than usual, and I noticed her texting a lot, whispering, giggling, behavior that made me curious, but I didn't press. Later, as we got ready for bed, she turned to me with that mischievous glint in her eyes. "Ben," she said softly, her tone playful but with an underlying seriousness. "I have a little idea for tonight." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, what's that?" She smirked. "You know my twin sister, Laura? Well, what if she joined us tonight, but not as herself?" I laughed nervously. "What do you mean, not as herself?" Amanda's eyes sparkled, and she leaned closer. "I mean, she pretends to be me, just for a little while. We could spice things up." For a second, I thought she was joking. I mean, it sounded absurd, but the way she said it, with that serious but teasing tone, made me realize she wasn't kidding. "You're serious?" I asked cautiously. "Absolutely," she replied. "It's harmless fun. Nothing will happen that you're not comfortable with." I promise I was hesitant. The idea of Amanda's twin being in our bedroom pretending to be her was unsettling. But Amanda's charisma, the excitement in her eyes, made it hard to say no. I wanted to trust her. I wanted to believe this was just a playful fantasy, a harmless experiment. So, I agreed, albeit nervously. The night arrived. Laura came over, dressed similarly to Amanda, mimicking her mannerisms perfectly. The resemblance was uncanny. So much so that at first I almost didn't realize it wasn't Amanda. The way she laughed, the tilt of her head, even the subtle gestures, it was all Amanda. Only the tiniest details, the way her eyes seemed slightly different, hinted at the truth. Amanda left the room saying she had to check on something downstairs, leaving Laura behind. And then the reality of the situation hit me. I was alone in a room with my wife's twin, who was pretending to be her. At first it was playful, small touches, whispers, teasing comments. Everything was in the context of the joke. Laura's presence was thrilling, her laughter infectious. The way she looked at me, though, it was strange. Familiar yet different. Innocent yet daring. But as the minutes ticked by, the boundaries began to blur. What started as harmless mimicry began to feel intimate in ways I hadn't anticipated. I caught myself reacting to her touches, responding to her smiles, as if she were Amanda. My mind was a whirlwind of guilt, curiosity, and excitement. And then, the line was crossed. Laura sat closer on the bed, leaning in as if whispering something in my ear. Her voice was soft, playful, but there was an intensity I hadn't expected. I froze for a moment, caught between desire and caution. But I didn't stop her. Part of me, deep down, wanted to see how far this would go. It wasn't long before I realized that Amanda's idea had gone too far. The experiment that was supposed to be fun and harmless had become charged, dangerous even. I couldn't separate my feelings for Amanda from my reactions to Laura. And worse, Laura seemed to sense my hesitation, and she didn't stop. At some point, Amanda returned, smiling at the scene, watching with an intensity that made my heart pound. She hadn't expected it to escalate so quickly either, but there was a mix of amusement and curiosity in her eyes. "You two are getting along well," she said lightly, her tone teasing. I didn't respond. I was frozen, the reality of what had just happened weighing on me. The lines between reality and pretense, between Amanda and Laura, had completely blurred. When the night finally ended and everyone calmed down, the three of us sat in silence. The room felt heavier, loaded with things unsaid. I could feel the guilt rising, the embarrassment, the confusion. Amanda had meant it as a playful fantasy, a way to inject novelty into our relationship, but in trying to orchestrate something thrilling, she had crossed a line and I had allowed it. In the weeks that followed, things changed between us. Trust had shifted. The playful spark Amanda had hoped to create had morphed into a complex tangle of emotions. I loved Amanda, but I couldn't shake the images, the feelings, the mixture of guilt and thrill. Laura and I avoided discussing that night, but the memory lingered in every glance, every casual touch. Amanda sensed the change too. She noticed my distance, my hesitation. One night, she approached me. "Ben," she said softly, "I didn't think it would go this far. I just wanted to have fun, not this." I nodded, my voice barely audible. "I know, but it did go too far. And we can't pretend it didn't." From that night on, our relationship entered uncharted territory. We had to redefine our boundaries, our trust, and our understanding of intimacy. The playful experiment that Amanda had envisioned turned into a pivotal moment for us, a lesson in honesty, limits, and the fragility of trust. Looking back, I realized that one night's fantasy can ripple through the foundation of a relationship in ways you never expect. Amanda's plan to add excitement had opened a Pandora's box. It taught me that curiosity and desire are powerful, but they can also be dangerous when mixed with the unknown. I still love Amanda, and our marriage continues, but there's always a shadow of that night lingering in my mind. The lesson is clear. What seems like harmless fun can escalate quickly, and once trust is tested in such intimate ways, nothing is ever quite the same again. And as for Laura, she's back to being just my wife's twin, a family member, a friend. But the memory of that night will always remain. A complicated mix of thrill, guilt, and the reminder that some lines, once crossed, change everything.